Hi, I'm Picasso with the Eagle Riders MC, and I am here today with...
I am Hollywood with Black Patch MC here in Las Vegas.
Welcome to the Biker Protocol channel. We have an interesting topic today is, when do you think it's time to kind of hang up your patch? When do you think it's kind of like, when is the time, right? I know most people I know that ride with clubs, it's their life, right?
Yeah.
And they die with I know many people, sad to say, have been buried with their cuts.
Yeah.
It's their lifestyle for their life, right? But some people, it's time to maybe retire for different reasons, whether you're in an MC or an RC. There are different reasons for this, right? So I want to talk about this a little bit. I will share a story with you. One of my good friends who's in our club, one of my brothers, he was once our VP of our club. And so he's been riding since like Moses was, since the dawn of the motorcycle, right? So, he was in a lot of clubs over the years before moving and traveling, and he left different clubs because of either maybe time had just moved on, the club disbanded. He was in a club that was in a different state and he moved to Las Vegas, right?
Yeah.
So there are different reasons to leave clubs on the real simple levels like that, right? If you're moving and your club is not in another state, that might be a time to hang in your colors, right? And, the way you do that is normally you contact your sergeant at arms, you contact your president, and you explain the situation. Usually they're going to know in some time. And you just say, listen, I need to turn in my cut for this reason, right?
Yeah.
So I love you guys and not going to be in the area anymore, right? In which case, we have a guy who did this, but rather than hang up his patches, he's now a nomad for us. So he's in another state. He maintains his dues, pays his, everything, and he's our nomad. But for some people, there's, they look at the culture and decide to leave. I'll share with you to go rewind a little bit. So, I was talking with my friend, we call him Lightning. He was in a club many years ago, back in the 60s, called the White Plague, which is about the craziest name. Great name for a club, I guess, right? Yeah. Maybe.
What was I wonder what was the center?
I can only begin to imagine what the patch was like, right? But they disbanded the club disbanded. There weren't a lot of members to begin with. And so people wanted to move on. They didn't want to be part of the culture anymore. And so they collectively decided, we're going to kind of put this to a close, right? In which case somebody takes the cuts. They may have I don't know if they burned them. I know clubs have done that when they end the club. But let's say you're in a club and maybe there's reasons why you have to leave that are not related to geography. So for another example, we had a person in our club who was a pilot. She was an actual airline pilot.
Yeah.
And they were leaving because they were joining the police force. So we didn't know that the person was a full patch member of the club. But after some time decided, I don't want to be flying jets anymore. I want to fly helicopters, and the police are hiring and they're paying really good.
Okay.
So they decided to become a police officer. Right. So, at that case we had a meeting and cuts were turned in, and it was a sad thing. But understandable, right?
Yeah.
So, there are reasons like that, but sometimes there are other reasons why people leave clubs. I mean,
health reasons could be a big thing. Actually, one of our old VPs had kind of hang it up. I wouldn't say hang it up, but and there's different levels, obviously different bylaws as well. But just can't ride anymore, so can't participate as much as they can. But they still do.
Yeah, age is a tough thing for some.
Yeah, and just health got to him, and unfortunately, that's life, right? And so per bylaws, you can retire in certain aspects and still keep your cut, and you can still support wear it out to club events and stuff, and still encourage you to come out. But that could be a reason as well.
And when people leave, there's different levels of leaving, right?
Yeah.
So some people leave on good terms, some people not so great terms.
Yeah.
So that has to be understood. And again, as we move forward on this topic, club business is club business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody leaves on, let's say, bad terms, that's not any member of the club's topic of conversation with anybody outside the club.
Yeah.
So that's important to understand that too, because it's important to maintain that level of integrity within your club. But we had a guy leave. We had a couple of weird departures. We had one person had to leave the club, and he was a great member of our club. We loved him to death. Had an alcohol issue, and so he dropped. He wrecked, I think it was 2 bikes in the course of less than a month. So he wrecked a bike.
Money then too.
Well, yeah, I guess. So he wrecked a bike.
Yeah.
Got a brand new Indian. I mean, a brand new, beautiful, I don't remember what model, but it was a brand new Indian, and wrecked that like a week and a half later. Totaled it. Amazing he wasn't badly hurt. That was even another whole topic of conversation how we didn't get. But he came to us and said, I think it's time I need to kind of do a little self-reflection on my life. And he's like, I need to kind of back off from all of this stuff.
And that's a good point too of understanding when you're at a point where you're not, the club is not benefiting from they're actually not benefiting at all from you being around.
Right.
And you're dragging them down maybe. So to know that like, okay, it's time I'm that example, or maybe life has just gotten in the way. I cannot commit any more time to this, and it's not fair to you guys, and talk to your club, go by your bylaws, where to go from that point. That's an aspect of it that could be a part of it. The bad terms, though, you said it stays in clubs, but do you feel like it's a necessary thing to put out in the community that if someone's left in bad terms, that they're not? I guess you can still be out bad, I guess, but you can not be out bad on bad terms. I don't know. I mean,
there's different. It's club politics thing. I have known some clubs where if you're out on bad terms, they'll tell every club in the area like, "Hey, this is somebody you don't want to have as a member," right? And I know people have been ousted at clubs and shown up at other clubs, and they're welcome with open arms. And it depends. Everything's a case by case situation, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's important to have something in your bylaws about this, about how this gets determined, and how what the punishment for this would be, right? So
definitely consult your bylaws, because if you retire for whatever reason, are you allowed to keep your cut?
Yeah.
Are you allowed to still wear it? When can you wear it? Where can you wear it? Example like the medical issue our VP had. Can he wear it out and about by himself? Would he want to? I don't, and that's also a personal thing. Like if I were leaving a club on good terms, well, good or bad terms, why wear the cut outside the club?
And in most cases, I will share, especially in the MC world, your cut doesn't belong to you. My cut is property of my club. So whatever terms I leave on, my cut goes back to the club.
Yeah.
Unless I'm staying on as a nomad or some kind of an approved position as a member, usually dues are paid and so forth. So you have to
be participating to kind of keep your cut.
Correct. But if I'm leaving a club, my patches go back.
It doesn't matter if I'm moving to Brazil and can I keep my cut? Well, unless you're going to pay dues or participate in somewhere, no, you don't just get to get.
Right. It's not your property to keep.
What about when a club gets to a point you kind of touched on where they either disband or maybe they leave the area you're in? Like for some reason they're kicked out of the area that you're in.
That can happen.
But you're not going to move out or whatever. Those are other thoughts to think about in terms of what do you do?
At that point, if the club is no longer available or accessible, participating in an area, then the club has to disband. But
so like, say a club gets kicked out of an area for whatever reason, but some of the people aren't. Maybe they're not leaving; they can't have their cut there anymore.
Right. Well, then they have an option of joining another club.
But
starting a new club that can get approved.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying like, say you have a club that's got multiple chapters and charters in different states or cities, whatever, and then the one charter gets pushed out, but those people are still living there. Do they get to keep their cuts? That's another thing to think about.
Yeah.
Because yes, the club can't be there. They probably can't wear it anymore, but they still earned it, right? And I know it's property of the club, but
that would be a determination for national. How the national chapter wants to deal with that.
Bylaws, and then like you mentioned, still participating, paying dues, because my thought is, and I think it's a common phrase, once you become a member, that's when you start prospecting. So when you're a member, you have to still continue to earn it.
Right.
So if something like that happens, you still got to be doing something to keep it, in my thoughts. And yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I end that one.
No, but that's true though, right? I mean, all of that's accurate.
Yeah.
So, but it is important to understand though that, wearing cuts that are from a patch, certainly from a club that's no longer in existence, can get you in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Because other clubs will know it, right?
Yeah,
so if they know your club has been disbanded, if they know, and yet you're still riding around with something on it, I mean, that's not good.
Yeah. And then if they'll wonder, even if they didn't know of you and you just all of a sudden start wanting to wear it,
right?
Like who's this?
Who's this guy?
You're
right.
Gonna have more questions and more problems.
Right. So it's just always understand the protocols behind these things and how wearing a certain patch and certainly with an RC, none of this really applies that much, because if you're in an RC, you're basically buying your way in. So, if you're like a member of Hog, for example, right? I mean, whatever you do, nobody's going to care. Whether, but it doesn't really apply. This is definitely more for the MC culture rather than the RC culture. Yeah.
Politics would be another reason to hang it up. I've
seen
heard
that happen too.
A lot of people say, I just am done. I've done the MC thing from 1%ers to 99 to RCs, whatever. And I'm done with the politics. I'm out of it.
Yeah.
I will not join a club. I'm leaving this club, whatever their club.
Too much drama. There's too much. Yeah.
And so that's a big part. It all kind of comes down to like how you leave and what the club accepts how you leave. Some clubs are stricter and like, you can't leave unless you do certain things, or some are just like, all right, give me your cut. See you later.
Well, and it even sometimes goes deeper. What if you have a club tattoo and you're hanging it up, right?
Yeah,
so that tattoo is probably going to have, for a lot of clubs, they're going to demand you take it off.
Yeah, so that's something to consider when you hang it up. Is it worth it to you to do that? Because it's life.
Yeah.
It literally is a lifestyle, and people live it 100% for a lot of these clubs.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be any different.
Well, I can't tell you many times I've heard from people that would say, I would die for this patch.
Yeah.
And I get it. And, it makes no sense to some people on the outside of this world, but when you're in it and you're immersed in it, it makes sense.
Think about it in a very small aspect compared to, say, someone that goes to war for the country.
Yeah.
They're dying for a patch, a flag.
Right.
That is literally a patch.
Very significant.
And that's what they believe in. It's their little like government, their little.
You want to get a Marine really mad? Call him an ex-Marine.
Yeah, there you go.
I've learned that, right?
So,
because that's their life. A Marine is always a Marine. So it's kind of like that too, right? So
I've heard stories. I think some comments of people saying, "Oh, I'll never join a club," or because of this and that. Keep those comments coming because I'm kind of curious on what people think and why they hung it up. Obviously keeping club business, but there's always personal reasons, and I think we're all human, and we just have human tensions and our intentions and needs. So there's many reasons to hang it up, and not all of them are wrong.
No.
I don't think.
No. I mean, and some people leave just because they're just tired. They don't ride anymore. They don't. And a lot of it comes on could just be something as simple as they're just not enjoying it as much as they did.
Yeah.
I mean, some people have been in clubs for decades, and when you joined, when you're in your 20s, you're different than when you're in your 40s,
definitely,
50s, right?
Families, all that sort of stuff.
Everything changes. So jobs, and all these different things come into play with all of this. It could be your career, it could be your lifestyle, it could be your family, it could be any number of things.
But one thing to consider though is, if you're going to be coming into a serious motorcycle club, one that maybe has a lot of history, you gotta have to kind of consider not necessarily plan, but know that this is supposed to be a lifelong thing. It should be, because you want to put the work in, you want to make the bonds, have the memories.
It's one of the benefits of prospecting for long periods of time too.
Yeah.
To have prospects, not prospect for 3 months.
We've had our prospects where it's like, the shorter period where we thought they were ready. No. And so we've
never works. Yeah.
With a lot of clubs, you've learned that the longer they prospect, because then they work for it and they earn it and they want it.
Absolutely.
And they want to keep it. But knowing that just going forward, it's supposed to be a life thing. Put the effort in and appreciate it. It's gonna have ups and downs, a lot of downs, but also a lot of ups.
The ups are worth it.
So yeah,
awesome. Please leave it in the comments if you've been in a club and now you're not. We'd like to hear it. Positive stories preferably. But if you've ever been like that, please do that. And also, if you get a chance, please like and subscribe to our channel. It really means a lot to us. It helps us to build this channel a lot, and the more subscribers and the more likes we get, it only helps us to make more videos for you guys, and they always come out every Friday in case you haven't noticed. So please like and subscribe to this video. We end everything on a shot. I'm sneaking one in this time. So this, I'm going to tell you what it is afterwards. You don't know what it is. This is non-alcoholic. This is one time we've done this non-alcoholic because people ask us about this, but you're going to hate it. I know you're going to hate it. So, all right.
Shot of non-alcoholic.
It's about the most disgusting thing.
Hold on, I want to guess it.
Okay. What do you think it is?
It's a soda of some kind.
Yeah.
It tastes like Coca-Cola.
Yeah, sort of.
But off. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the Oreo cookie.
Oh
yeah, I know. Is that not the most disgusting thing? Yeah, it's Oreo cookie.
All right, well.
Thanks for watching
stuff next week.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know. Back to the booze. All right. You have a great one. Thanks for watching our video. We'll see you next week.